This young black man ignored everyone's persuasion and jumped into the ocean. The officer ordered to bring him back, but he swam too fast. No one could catch him. This was at a U.S. naval base. Racial segregation was very serious at that time. In the hot summer, everyone wanted to swim, but there was an unwritten rule. White people could swim 6 days a week, but African American soldiers could only swim on Tuesdays. This young man wanted to break this rule, so he jumped into the ocean despite everyone's warnings. His name was Carl. His family had been farmers for generations. His father didn't want Carl to be like himself, so he sent Carl to the Navy when he grew up. This was his only chance to change his destiny. On the day he left, his father repeatedly reminded Carl to persist no matter how difficult things got. Never give up easily. Carl set out with his father's expectations and his beloved radio. But when he arrived at the unit, he discovered African American soldiers had very low status here. They only did odd jobs and cooked. Carl was put in solitary confinement for breaking the rules, but the captain also saw Carl's courage and extraordinary talent, so he recommended him to the Navy Academy to become a diving rescue operator. When he arrived at the Navy Academy, the instructor rejected him because of his identity. The prejudice here was even more severe, but Carl didn't give up. He stood at the gate for an entire day. Finally, the instructor was moved by his perseverance and agreed to let him enter the base. After finally getting in, he was met with hostile looks from his fellow soldiers. Some even spat at him. The instructor held a welcome ceremony for him, but his fellow soldiers said they wouldn't live with him. Then they all moved out. Only one seemingly simple-minded young man was willing to stay, because he had a stutter, and was often ostracized by others. Late at night, Carl was awakened by the instructor with cold water, saying it was time for morning exercise, but kept spraying him with a high-pressure water gun, then held him underwater to practice breath-holding, obviously trying to make him quit. But remembering his father's words, Carl endured it. The next day, the stuttering roommate, because of his close relationship with Carl, was also targeted by the instructor. He was expelled for not holding his breath for 4 minutes. Carl felt very guilty. That day, when fellow soldiers had an accident during underwater welding, Carl volunteered to go underwater with another soldier for rescue. But during the rescue, the ship's hull collapsed again. The other soldier fled in fear immediately, leaving only Carl. He faced the challenge and rescued his teammates. Afterward, the instructor gave recognition for this incident, but the recognition went to the person who ran away. Everyone knew the truth, but chose to remain silent. Only the person who was rescued gave Carl an approving look. Despite such unfairness, Carl never became discouraged. With his strong willpower, he ranked first in every training, until one day, Carl received news that his father had passed away from illness. The strong Carl couldn't hold it together anymore. He went to the bar wanting a drink, but the owner sought his identity and said they were out of alcohol. His fellow soldiers nearby told him to leave. The instructor also stepped up saying he wasn't welcome here. Even if you're excellent, the school won't let you graduate smoothly. This made Carl angry. He challenged the instructor to a breath-holding contest. If he lost, he would voluntarily drop out. If he won, his stuttering companion would be allowed back in the team. The instructor agreed.